Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, summer edition, 20 warm, and I've started my walk late. So, don't know how long I'm going to be out here for, but I need to walk at least a little bit. So, that's where I'm at. All right, summer edition 2026, and it is Fiesty Friday. Fiesty Friday. I just got internet all the way up the hill, and I forgot to turn off my sound. So yeah, garbage. Not for me. Okay, so it has a little banner, and sometimes if I catch it, I can see the first couple of words. Yeah. So you missed me almost getting whacked in the face by a limb and a bunch of leaves because I lost internet right as that happened. All right. What was I saying? I was saying about the walk. It's probably going to be short. So, now I got to catch my breath. Probably just in time for the internet to go back out, because now I'm going back down the hill. We'll see. We'll see if it holds. All right. So, oh, I gotta switch sides because the sun's on that side. All right. So, where was I at? I don't remember, so I'll just start wherever. All right. So, I was thinking yesterday, because of all the spam that people get these days. My daughter was talking about all the spam she had gotten the other day, and she's like, it's all spam. It's why even bother having a phone? And I was like, okay, she doesn't sound like that. But for emphasis sake, it's like, why bother having a phone? She did say that because of all the spam. And back before I put myself on the no call list, which gave me like 38 calls in a couple of hours, we're down to probably about, I know it cut it at least half of that. And since then I've been going in and blocking the number, deleting it. So blocking and deleting. Good thing I don't have my hearing aids on. The wind is picking up, and I'm hearing this rush of wind in my ears, and if I was hearing this, it would sound like a... Oh, I'm back. All right, so it was a quick outage there. I guess the tornado took out the lines. All right, so anyways, so it was, my thought was like, I'm going to talk about everyone that I block. Now that I block the number. Second time. Quick outage. All right. So, blocking the numbers. It takes like about 3 extra steps, right? First, I got to go into it. I'm not even counting that. But then you have to hit block, delete, for me to just grovel out. It's I get to complain on Fridays, on Fiesty Fridays, but most of the time I don't complain on Fiesty Fridays. I'm just, doing my feistiness, my ability to offend, and mostly myself. Oh, I'm back. Okay. And mostly I offend myself because I talk about the things that God's dealing with me about, and things that I've done, and things that I've thought that needed correction. So a lot of times I do offend myself, and sometimes I get to offend you. Okay, so, and it's one of those things of, hey, if you're offended, find out why you're offended. What is it that's in you that's triggering that? Because that usually is the problem. Yes, there are people that go out to offend people to hurt them, because that's the cruelty of some of the people in this world. But most people aren't that. Most people don't mean to offend people when they say something, and then somebody gets offended by it, and it's like, well, now that I'm offended, I reject everything you say. And it's like, there might be something inside here that needs to change to the point where you don't have to be offended by something that somebody had said, especially if they didn't mean to offend you. So, that's what Fridays are for. And like I said, most of the time I offend myself. Now, if I offend you while I'm offending myself, it means we're in the same camp. Okay? Let's not be like the enemies of Israel in the Old Testament, where we attack each other. And then Israel got the victory and all the spoils because we killed each other being in the same camp. You don't want to do that. All right. So, I gotta watch what I say, because I never know what words might trigger not being able to say these things on here. Okay, so that's what Fridays are for. And so I was thinking about doing this thing with the phone, right? How would it look like if we didn't have phones? Well, I wouldn't be doing this. But there could be other means, like maybe, just maybe, if we had a code that was specifically ours, that we could give our friends and family and maybe the doctor's office, or, pertinent individuals, our number that could not be sold to anyone else, and only those calls came in. Those would be the only calls that would come in. I'd be okay with that. I'd be good with that, because tell you the truth, I don't answer phone calls that I don't know the number to. If I don't know your number, I'm not answering it. And then, of course, if you leave a message, now I have to delete the message. So there's more steps in the process, because I have to go to my voicemail, hit play the messages, delete the message. It's extra stuff and extra work and extra time that I want no part of. Most people don't want any part of. So how do we solve the solution? Solve this problem. How do we come up with a solution for this problem? And so that's where my brain works a lot of times. Now, back when I was a teenager, I was probably about 19, 20 years old. I don't think I was 20. I was already in the Corps. This was before I was in the Marine Corps. So probably about 18, 19 years old. And, I'm from Northern California, and we have this thing where we don't like Southern California, and part of that has to do with our water, how they take our water to water their deserts, right? And I was like, instead of taking our fresh water and messing up our ecosystem and all the stuff that they've done, right? Why can't they just, now I didn't know the word for it back then, didn't know the word for it, but now we do because they exist, desalination plants. Why can't they make a distillery? That's what I called it. Why can't they make a distillery and extract the salt? Now they can take that salt, instead of depleting salts from salt mines and from other places. They can take that sea salt and use that as table salt, or to salt the driveways for the winter, or what. I didn't know about that back then, about salting driveways for winter. When the snow came, you waited till it melted. Nobody shoveled. Nobody had a snow shovel. We had a regular garden shovel that we would have cleared out the front porch with, but that's about it. So anyways, I digress. There's all types of uses for salt, right? Towns get salt all the time for the roadways. So with that, I was like, why can't you take this distillery, remove the salt, and then give the desert the fresh water, from the people that are living down there, right? So now we know what that's called, desalination plants. Now, desalination plants, sometimes they don't take the salt and sell it. Sometimes what they do is they just pump the salt right back into the sea. I'm like, I don't know if I like that, because at least in that area, maybe not dispersed throughout all of the sea, but at least in that area, it would become very highly salt saturated. And it could mess with the ecosystem, right? Because just about everything we do messes with the ecosystem. And so my thought was, why can't they do this? And I was shut down quick. That would be too expensive to do. It would cost too much for the amount of fresh water that you would get. And instead of going, hey, let's dive into this deeper. Let's see how we could do this where it wouldn't be. And if you sold the salt, hey, now you have income generating to keep it going too, right? So yeah, I had these thoughts when I was about 19 years old, 18, 19 years old, and it got shut down. Every time I had an idea, it always got shut down. Later on, stuff happened. So with that, it's just thoughts that I was thinking. I'm like, you know what? It's just, I don't know if it's feisty enough. I just don't know if it's feisty enough. that we put our heads together to solve things versus to talk about all its problems. Now, you need to have a problem, and you need to understand your problem in order to move forward in the process. So it's okay to have that person that's a naysayer. But you know what? That naysayer cannot be in charge. Because if the naysayer is in charge, that it's kibosh. It doesn't even get off the ground. You won't be able to go pursue it. And then what happens? Somebody else pursues it. Because God gives us ideas. This is not what I titled, by the way. God gives us ideas. And if we step into those ideas, then something can take place for others. But if we don't step into those ideas, He will raise another to step in for you. How many times has He given you a mission, an assignment, and you didn't recognize it? I mean, I can say that because of all the different things that I thought about and never did anything about. Now, I talked about having a Taco Bell at a certain location. It would be awesome. And it was a little bit down the road from that, but, you know, they brought it closer. I was like, this would be a great place for a Dunkin' Donuts. 5 years later, Dunkin' Donuts was there. I lost the internet, so I don't know where you were and where I was in the sentence. So I'll just pick up with this individual that does obscure Bible stories, and he'll deep dive into those, and it's really awesome. And it's the same thing I do. I get into these off stories that you don't hear in church, right? They're in the Bible, but you don't see a pastor tackling them, right? He goes after the stories that have been told over and over and over and over again, but there's people in the church that have not heard them over and over again. I've been around a while, so I've heard all the stories that the pastors talk about, but there are stories in there that they don't talk about. They don't get to those, and I understand their reasoning, but those are the ones that I get into. I get interested in going, well, why is this in the Bible? What is it trying to say to us? That type of thing. And so since the pastor won't tackle that, I've got to go in for myself. But this kid has a real fresh way of doing it. I mean, he does it. What do you call that? Relaxed. He's relaxed. Like I'm like real relaxed here. Relaxed, but at the same time brings a professionalism to it that it's just awesome. So anyways, I don't know his name. I think it's like Nils or Gills or something. I think it's Nils. Anyway, he was doing Isaiah. And before I went for my walk, I was trying to clean up some area because I got to get my couch out of my house to put a different couch in. And as I was moving stuff around, and I was thinking about how it's taken me so long to get through all the stuff, because I need to go through all the stuff because I don't know what's there. I don't know what's in there. And so sometimes I get into these stopper modes of, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this. So I guess it's overwhelm, right? So with that, I heard the kid say from Isaiah, forget the former things. Forget the former things. Behold, I'm going to do something new. It's basically talking about forget about crossing the Red Sea. Forget about, all the things that I did in the past, because something new that is beyond your comprehension is coming. Something is new ahead of you. So forget the former things. Behold, I do something new. And so it was, I'm paraphrasing here, because I don't have the scripture in front of me. So I'm sitting there looking at all this stuff, and it's hitting me. Forget the former things. It doesn't matter. You're not going to need those. You're not going to need those because there's something new for you. Something that is way better than holding on to those new things. See, when you're in a house, my house is not organized right now. I've been tearing things apart, moving things around, and in order for me to clean, I make a mess. And then I don't have time to finish it, so the mess remains. And then when I get back to the mess, it's like I don't remember where I left off. So I just start a new mess. And it gets a little overwhelming because of the amount of time that it's taking to do it. And so, I'm thinking of these are former things. They're not things that I'm going to bring into my future. They are things that I don't need to, and if it's not something that somebody would want, then I might as well just throw it out. And see, people that I come over and help, they just want to, because they're thrower-outers. Thrower-outers are just as bad as hoarders. Now, I'm not a hoarder, but I do have some hoarder tendencies. And part of that is because I grew up on a farm, and it's like, farmers are like, well, here's a bed spring. We could use that for something. Let's throw it in this jar. I mean, you save everything, especially with my dad was a tinkerer. He invented things. He did things. And he would take things and make them because there wasn't anything made to do it. He couldn't go buy it, so let's make it. And so that's what he would do. And so we kept everything. We kept everything. Nothing went to waste. Nothing was spared. And so we might need this later. Well, let's keep it. This might, so yes, there's hoarder tendencies that have embedded into me from my youth and from my background. But here I am. Yeah, I'm not a hoarder in the sense that I take in and take in and take in. I just have a hard time letting go of the things that are useful. But what is useful, right? If nobody wants it, it's not useful. So it's a new perspective going into I can't do it this weekend because there's a lot of things going on this weekend that is not part of the cleanup. But, and that's part of the problem too, is having to step away from getting to do what needs to be done because there's other commitments that need to take place. So with that, getting my breath, it's that hill. That hill every time. So with that, it gives me a new perspective of when I'm going through stuff. Former things. Let go of the former things. So if it's not something anybody wants, I've been putting some stuff on free cycle. There was one thing we were just going to take it down to the dump and just dump it off. And I put it on free cycle in our town, and it's not called free cycle because that has a name to it, but it's our own town's version of it. And so what happened is, within a few minutes, there was multiple comments about how people wanted it. I mean, people were like lining up, and people were willing to trade me things. And I was like, no, the first person is the first person, and that's what it is. So it was like, okay, I don't know what people will take and what people won't. I'll try it out. I'll take pictures of it. I'll send it out. If people respond within a couple of days, great. If they don't, it's going out. So I did that last night with a desk. I put it on with my drum set. Well, it wasn't my drum set, but it was a drum set in our house that a bunch of people jumped on that one too. It was like, we want the drum set. And it was like, so the first person got the drum set. But they missed the desk because I had the drum set and the desk in the same post. And my husband was like, you might need to refresh that desk one separate from the drum set one because of all the responses that are inside for the drum set. And so I did that last night. Guess what? This morning, somebody in the desk. So there's things that I don't want to see if somebody would want them because it's either in good shape or it's useful. And I will give people that opportunity. But if it is not for the future, if it is not somebody, if it's not something I'm going to use in the future, it's not somebody that anybody else looks at thinking they're going to use for the future, it's time to just let it leave the house, say goodbye. I don't like throwing things into the garbage because of the landfills and all of that, but I can't be holding on to the old things that are taking up space, and that happens within us as well. So inside of us, we hold on to things that take space. And are we willing to let go of those things that are no longer useful for us? Because if we're going to hold on to them, there's little room for anything else to come in. All right, blessings everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you on Monday. Bye. Oh, before I do, make sure you go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, different than my Facebook profile. Mona E. Harrison.